This is Tijen Genco. Hello, Jerry. I have you on a recorded line and welcome to our coaching session. Do I have your permission to record
Yes.
our conversation? What would you like us to discuss today?
I want to talk about writing a book. I've got several projects that I'm looking at, and I want to really get that going in a way that's helpful, that helps me achieve what I want to create in my life.
When you're talking about the book, if that resonates with you, envision yourself, that book is already written, published, and in your hands. What visions or sensations are you getting already about that?
Well, I feel really excited, very enthusiastic about it, having fun with it. I can see myself signing books, autographs when I'm at live meetings. Back to that, my intention around this is for it to open doors for me. So I'm seeing it open those doors of opportunity for more clients. Now, of course, it'd be virtual workshops, virtual coachings and trainings, and live when we get back to it, because I have a background in training and organization development, and so I've done a lot of in-person work with teams and groups and presentations. So I see myself doing that on the topic of the book, so that people are getting the information, and I see myself using the book as a platform to inspire people. Those are some of the things I'm seeing.
What I heard in there, that there are a couple things for you as extra opportunities. The doors are being opened and you're feeling excited and enthusiastic about it, having fun, interacting with people. These seem to be some things directly for you. And also then you mentioned about inspiring others. That can be for you as well as the others. What else might come into your mind when you hear me saying those?
Well, it compounds or ramps up the feeling of enthusiasm and excitement about doing it. I have colleagues who have said there was a big shift for them when they actually had the printed physical book for people to get, that it just changed their business. And so I'm seeing that as a launching point for me, a bigger launch point, and that I'm able to leave a legacy. Even though I feel like I have a legacy right now in teaching, but this would be beyond that, and it would help me to make a bigger contribution, make a bigger difference, which is what I want. And one of the books that I'm working on relates to that. It's about making a difference in the world in a bigger way, small and large ways. And there would be a broader audience versus the individual workshops or groups or individuals that I work with. It would go beyond that.
Expansion of your legacy as well as impact of your legacy.
Right.
It feels exciting to you. What might be the title of your book?
Well, which book? I've got several. I've got working titles. So one of them is I've been speaking on storytelling, business storytelling for fun and profit. And so I've got one is Discover Your Story to Success. And another one is 101 Ways to Make a Difference One Step at a Time. And that one, the tagline would be like leveraging your stories and creative projects. And another is The Appreciation Effect. So I've got all those going right now. And so I thought I would hone in on the one on the making a difference. It's a practical and inspirational. And so someone could immediately apply some of the ideas. The other ones would be a little bit more, I guess, process oriented and a system of how you might do something. This one would say, okay, go act right now.
I see. It kind of feels like even the title fits into the your expansion of the legacy, because you mentioned more about inspiring people and getting them
Yeah.
connected them differently.
And the stories that I would use to help underpin some of these individual acts of making a difference. I'm collecting all those. And so they incorporate my background in appreciation and storytelling into that one book. So it's sort of it blends those things as well.
I wondered if you had that uniting different parts of you creatively in other ways, or this is also expansion for you, the way you unite to create with inside.
Yeah, this is an expansion for me. One of my I know a lot of people have taken the Strengths Finder, and one of my top 5 is a connectedness. So I can see connections between a lot of disparate things, and so I can draw those connections. So it helps to, and ideation is another one of my top 5. So the creativity, the idea generation, and the connectivity is, all comes into play. It gives me a chance to express those talents.
As you envisioned this, you mentioned a little bit ago that you were holding the book and signing the book and all that. So what does the cover look like for you?
I have one cover for one of my book ideas already from Fiverr, but I don't have one for this 101 ideas. So that's a good one. I haven't even thought about that yet. Well, of course, the numbers, 101 ideas or acts, I can't remember, 101 ways. I think that's what it is. So I could have a mind map on the front of it. That's one idea, which shows folks of a different, with maybe in each little bubble, an idea or an act of kindness or whatever someone could do. That's one possibility. Another is because I work with a lot of women leaders, men, and a few good men, but there's usually more women, professional women, both coaches, consultants, and internal leaders. And I could see having a woman, and I can imagine having a younger like generation, so because I'm working with women from their 20s to their 70s. I mean, really, literally.
Oh, how beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, those are different types of people that have come to my workshops across industries. It hasn't been in just one. And so I could, like a nonprofit fundraiser to a financial planner, for example. I've had that arrange, and to an internal, OD leader or consultant. And so I could see it could be a multi-generational, I could see them standing on each of the bubbles of the mind map. I don't want it to be too cluttered, but, I'd have to have like a cover designer help me come up with those, but I would talk through some of those ideas. What comes to mind right now? Colorful.
Hearing that, I got goosebumps, and the image I got, I was envisioning you like the storytellers, the elders of the tribe. You're in the middle and you have everyone around you.
Here's another one, since we're brainstorming, right? Okay, you've seen those conversation bubbles, right? Or the thought bubble. So it could be around a campfire, because I deal with corporate stories, sacred bundles, and so but it becomes a person's sacred stories that relate to what they want to put into the world, and it's really the story of their project or their idea that's been germinated through working in a group with me, because I envision myself working with groups. I like working with individuals, but I feel like I can have, and the group has a bigger impact. Each other, that this creative process, there's a fruition that comes out of minds together, the brainstorming, the collaboration, and that's what I envision really more of, because then there's a greater impact for everybody. Not just me. It's about the whole group and team. And I'm not talking about necessarily an intact team. It can be individuals that come together to support each other in launching, talking about their ideas, expressing them, and then launching them through their stories and their actual putting it into the world tangibly.
As I'm hearing you, Jerry, what comes to mind is the word catalyst. It almost in a way that as you want to tell your story and expand your legacy, it seems like you want to do with this book is to enable the same for that generational human beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've actually used the word catalyst to describe some of my work. And sometimes I move away from the word because it sounds a little esoteric or jargony, and I don't want to do that, although I think it's a great word, but it really does encapsulate some of the work that I do. It's more of I'm a facilitator, I'm an advocate, a catalyst for change. The name of my company is called Positive Change Works. And so it fits all under that same umbrella.
How clear is the vision of the book for you right now?
It's pretty clear, I think, based on what we've just discussed. You know, I have a notebook that I write. I just idea. I have pages of them. It's a way for me to capture the thoughts I have, and so this is a way to kind of bring it together, different ideas.
As you think of this beautiful book, to see yourself as the catalyst, or however you wish to call yourself, integrator and enabler in a way, that generation of these people to inspire themselves as you inspire you, holding the book in your lap and seeing the mind map and all these people. What is then your time frame becomes to hold the book in your hands?
I've thought about that in terms of, because I can do a really short book, or I could do a longer one, which would incorporate a lot of the story. So I thought maybe I could do a PDF of, thumbnail, little phrases or ideas, or maybe with a quote with it or something. And then that could be done very easily within a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, let's say a month. And in the longer term, I would say a couple or 3 months, where I'd have more of the, in-depth stories, examples, because I've been capturing a lot of them, and a lot of them are the really uplifting stories of what people have been doing through this pandemic, and other stories that don't relate to that. But it's been a real catalyst for me to watch a lot of the stories. I watch the morning shows on Sunday, and there's a wonderful one on CBS. It's not about politics. It's about features, human interest stories. For example, there's a lot of others where I capture from the news. So I would say the first one, the PDF, I could do like in a couple of weeks, very easily, and it could also be a download, like a freebie on my website, opt-in PDF. It's a short version, or even the first chapter of the book. That's an idea. And then the other one, I'd say within 3 months, which would be December 31st.
Okay, so you're ending the year with a beautiful bang. Yeah, what I heard, from few weeks to the longer term goal is to 3 months, the accomplishment of the book, the whole thing. What will be your long-term goals towards that 3 months?
You mean the things that will help me get there, the activities or actions? Okay. Well, one thing, I just got an accountability partner. So that was on my list, and we just agreed to this last week, and we've had one call. She's writing a book, and we connected in an online forum, and so class, and we decided we work together. And we're meeting once a week. We started it last week, so we're going to meet once a week on Fridays. And so that is one thing. Like, so getting accountability partner, which I've done, to help us keep each other on track. And then another thing is setting up a calendar. I haven't done that yet, with milestones of what I want to accomplish each week, because I'm already finding it's real easy to let it slip because of other things that come up. So having a calendar where I have a dedicated time So my friend is doing it at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm not a morning person like that, but I could easily do it at 7 and then go for my walk at 7:30. So I can, do it 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes 3 times a week. I think riding every day is better. I need to be realistic about that. So maybe if I say 3 times a week, and then if I get on a roll, I certainly can do more than that, but just to be not overwhelm myself. And I wake up around 6:30 or 7 every morning, so that would be easy to do then, and then go for my walk, and then get on with my day. And it's fresher in the morning. My mind's clearer, and I can think better.
Absolutely. So if you were to do the 3 times a week towards your 3 months, December 31st delivery of your beautiful book, when would you finish writing? I'm assuming there are other things involved before the publishing.
Um, well, one of the things that occurs to me too is what I need to do is set aside like a block of time, maybe an all-day Saturday or something, where I just, not only do I do the things in the week, but I set aside some real intensive time to just write beyond the 3 days a week. So maybe on a Saturday, a couple Saturdays, so I could get the writing completed sooner, because I do want to do self-publishing first, because I want to experiment with that. I am acquainted with some hybrid publishers that I wouldn't try to go to one of these traditional publishers. I've been involved in some writing workshops and interacted with some people who help people publish books and write them. And so there's a spectrum, of things, that the ways you could publish. So I know I'm kind of talking all around your question here, but so 3 days a week, set aside a couple of weekends where I'm going to just focus on writing only. And then, so if the writing, maybe I get the writing done in 2 months. And then the last month is spent working on the publishing of it. Because I've got to learn, just choose which avenue to pursue.
How would that learning get into place and planned?
I just was on this in this workshop, and there's a free call with a hybrid publisher that she offered, so I could probably go ahead and schedule that call and talk with her. There's another person in my local speakers association group who's a writing coach. I certainly could call her for a complimentary session just to kind of see. But then also beyond that, there are, I can go to Amazon and read and study their platform, just take the tutorials and self-educate. And there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. So those are like 4 avenues that I have that I could go do the research.
As I understand you, you want to do these things in the beginning of December, starting the beginning of December, because first 2 months you said you want to focus on writing. And I'm wondering if any of those things needs to be scheduled earlier to be executed in December.
Yeah, and it's a good question, because I was kind of thinking that as I was saying it out loud, that it might be better for me to have a plan about the publishing of it before I get to it. So maybe some of that research, I need to do that prior to, because there may be some things that would influence or inform the writing of it, before the publishing phase. So probably then, let's say, so this is October, probably this month, I ought to do some of that research on the publishing to be sure that I incorporate steps well enough in advance of the completion of everything.
Earlier, you were talking about front loaded in writing and back end loaded with the research. Now you realize that some of that needs to come to the front. And I'm wondering, how is that going to be affecting your schedule? Because you also wanted to yesterday commit yourself into the well-being and then the writing and this. So what's realistic for you as you think this?
Well, I do think that during this month of October, by the end of October, I could have done some of the research on the publishing, because
Mhm.
that would involve a few phone calls and then watching some tutorials, which that could take a little bit longer, but at least I can get started on it and look at what are the major steps or aspects that I need to take. So I think by the end of October, I certainly could do that, and I could do that during the daytime, schedule an hour or two a week, at least 2 hours a week initially on researching the publishing side of it. And then because there's things like editing and a lot of things that go into that, I'm a pretty good editor. I've done that for other people, but looking at my own stuff, I swear to God, I can look at it 10 times, and the 10th time I'll still find something that needs, more clarity or spelling, or, the mind, we've got scotomas. They just block out things that, so I've got a colleague who's a copywriter, and he's very good at reading things and giving good feedback. So I know he'll help me.
What I'm hearing towards your 3-month long-term goal, 30 minutes a day, possibly first thing or one of the very first things in the morning, and then a couple weekends dedicated to writing.
Mm-hmm.
The final month is going to go more into publishing activities, yet the research of that you're also wanting to do in this very first month, about 2 hours a week, and then maybe engaging also somebody in the copywriting and editing.
Yeah.
What about the creative aspect of the graphic design and other aspects? When would they come into play?
Yeah, that I can wait. I think till the second month. I've worked with Fiverr before, which was I got a working book cover from somebody else, and I learned quite a bit from that process. So I kind of understand that in terms of reaching out to someone, and I learned a little bit more about the specifications, what the questions are I need to ask. I PO'd this guy help me, because I wanted to make changes to his original agreement, and he was like, got really mad at me, and I'm thinking, oh well, anyway, that he wasn't very customer oriented in my perception, but I learned from that. So I have a list of questions in my mind and things I need to know about specifications. It's like you don't know what you don't know, right? Sometimes when you start out. And so with that, I think the second month I could engage someone, because then I would have a better idea of my full content. More toward the middle or latter part of November, engage someone, because it usually takes several iterations and back and forth with the person who does the graphics. That was my experience. To be clear about what's wanted, and usually, like before, I put out a request and I got like 5 or 6 different people to respond to me, and then I chose one person. So there's a process there.
Absolutely. What I'm hearing is that we have a end of December birthing day of your beautiful book, 101 Ideas, with maybe possibly mind map and generational imagery in the cover. Your goals for the first 2 months is to finish the content, finish the research about publishing vessels for you. Also, in the second month, you want to finish the graphic design, at least the definition of that from your end. What else, if anything, that needs to be thought about as a larger item?
Well, we've already talked about having an accountability partner. Well, the other thing is the printing, the distribution, and Amazon, those kinds of things. And there are, I know people who help people to try to get on Amazon bestseller list, but I'm not worried about that. That's not my purpose, although people claim that. And, some people say, being an Amazon bestseller is not the same as being one on the New York Times, right? That there's a game that people play, a huge game to get on Amazon as a bestseller. You pick the narrowest category you can that nobody else is in, and you get 10 people to buy your book, and suddenly you're the bestseller. I mean, it's really kind of a questionable bestseller status, but a lot of people don't know that, right? So that if I want to pursue that, that's something I want to look at if I decide that's important to me. The other is just the distribution, and I've got a list of access to companies that will print your book on demand, because I don't want to get a bunch of copies printed and pay a lot of money and have an inventory. I want to be able to have it, if I had an order placed, that it could be shipped from that distributor. That, like if I were working with a company, for example, they could order it and that would be printed on demand and sent to that company directly, not by me.
When would you like to do that?
I think that would occur in the third month in December, when I'm looking at the whole implementation of the publishing and distribution, print, all that.
What else?
Okay, so we've talked about the writing, accountability,
The cover,
the graphics, the publishing, and the distribution. And I talked about copywriting, editing. I think those are
and
the
maybe pricing.
It depends on how I want to use it. I could use it as a freebie, or if I'm working with corporate clients, I'm not looking at the book to make me a lot of money. That I know that's generally that's not the purpose of the book. And so initially, if I were putting on Amazon, I might sell it for 99 cents, to get some people to buy it and give me some testimonials, and then maybe raise it to, I don't know, $10.99 or something. It depends on how many pages. I'm not looking at wanting to price it at a high price. That's kind of what I've thought about, but I don't know yet how many pages I'm going to have. That
comes into the final month activity or second month activity?
I would say the final month, because it's the, there's things like getting an ISDN number, and, there's a lot of little technical things, that nitty gritty particles that have to be taken care of. And that pricing would be part of it.
Looks like we have a plan. First month, the short-term goals, your weekly goals are 30 minutes a day and then a couple weekends. And you mentioned that you need to be intentional about putting them into your calendar. Mm-hmm. And you have an accountability partner already. And you're going to do this for 2 months. And in the final month, you are going to finalize which way you wanted to publish. But in the first month, you also want to do a little bit of research. Mm-hmm. And you want to dedicate 2 hours a week in editing activities. And you also want to, second month, discuss with the graphic designer. And then the final month, you get into more printing, distribution, and pricing and all that. What is anything if missing here? Okay, I think the 2 hours a week was on, to right now in October, was around researching the publishing, not the editing. Oh, right. Okay, and, yes. And also the 30 minutes a day, to me, that's 5 days a week. So rather than the weekend, it would be Monday through Friday. You mentioned that a couple weekends you want to dedicate to whole writing, right? Okay. So anything else then here? I think that covers the bases. If I wanted any kind of illustrations, that would be part of the graphic design. And I don't know yet whether I would want any there, because it depends. Like I'm pretty good with PowerPoint and using things like Canva and stuff where I can create some graphics, not graphics, but tables and things like that. But that could be part of it could be part of the graphic design, or, to pretty those up. I mean, I can do that, but it's time consuming sometimes. Enjoy that too. So when would you like to make that decision? Well, I think it goes to the latter
part of when I'm writing, I will be making decisions about whether I want to put a table or a graphic, placeholder for something while I'm writing. And then, to illustrate a point possibly. But when I get to the last month, that would be part of the formatting such of the book itself.
Jerry, when we started, you mentioned there were a couple of book ideas, and this one specifically you were more interested in bringing to our discussion. And you seemed like that having challenges in motivating yourself to get there. And now, how do you feel?
Oh, well, I feel better because now we have a plan. Before I was doing sort of a hit and miss, and even though I know these things, like it's so much easier to coach someone else than to coach myself, right?
Of course.
And so they're just, it's really helping me get in touch again of why I want to do this, and then what are some real practical steps to get there. So I'm happy with that. And this will, in fact, when I meet with my accountability partner on Friday, I'm going to share this with her and challenge her, both of us, to create this kind of a plan so that, and then we can really hold each other accountable because we've got specific tasks or things that we have agreed to.
What might get in your way of executing this plan?
Well, I could be overly ambitious, with the writing every day. And so when I first said it, I said 3 days a week,
Yes.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so I'm going to experiment with the frequency and what makes sense to test out, in context with all the other things I'm doing. But part of it is making the commitment and being sure that I hold myself accountable and my partner can do that.
You mentioned about commitment also yesterday, and I want to do the same here.
Yeah.
Number one is I'm not at all committed. I'm still not ready to get on it yet. And number 10 is, all right, I'm starting as of tomorrow morning. Where is your commitment? So
I would say I'm 9-10. This is really high priority for me.
Okay. So no work needs to be there towards the
It's really important. It's important for my business and the things I want to create in the world. More of a sense of urgency about that.
Beautiful. What support besides the accountability partnership you may need?
Well, I have an accountability partner, a mastermind partner that we talk every day, every morning at 9 o'clock. Some days we miss because of conflicts, but she and I collaborate on beach retreats for women. We lead those for women. And so I've got 2 accountability, well, actually 3. I've got one for the book writing, and then this woman who's my partner in these other projects. And then I have a third one that I meet once a month with. So those are support. And then my significant other, he's a writer and, creative person. So he's really good to talk things through with.
Looks like you are well supported in this specific area. And I'm wondering, you said if anything, I might be overly ambitious. What would indicate if that would be the case?
I think if I wind up skipping days that I've committed to, I would have to recalibrate, ask myself, okay, what would amp up my commitment if I'm, not doing what I said I would do? I think failing to put it on my calendar, if I put it on my calendar like an appointment with myself, and if I check my calendar each morning when I get up, the first thing, then I would say to me, oh, okay, you need to, it's a reminder.
How comfortable are you doing that?
Oh, very comfortable with that.
Okay. And when you do it all that, because you mentioned yesterday that you really love sweets, what is going to be part of your reward mechanism?
Dessert. Well, one of the things that some of my friends and I have done is we've had Zoom calls, like, happy hour Zoom calls. So I could set it up where I have a celebration with my accountability partners. And there's a group, my colleague Catherine and I, we're mastermind partners. We've got a group of women that we meet once a month on a Zoom call, and we could set it up for celebration there. I would work.
Yeah, because you mentioned your love connecting to other people. I wondered, yeah. Okay. So what are you taking away from today, Jerry?
More enthusiasm, excitement about this project. I love it that we've created this plan. It's enormously helpful. It really is, because it helped me take all these swirling thoughts and spokes that were going different directions and pulling them together into one cohesive plan. So that's really, really, really helpful. I appreciate it a lot.
My pleasure and honor. I am excited to get to see you when you're holding the book.
Where are you located?
I'm in Philadelphia area.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So anything else needed to be part of this today's conversation in this topic?
No, I think I feel pretty good about it. I feel like we've really covered the bases and I've gotten what I need.
Excellent. So then is this an okay place to end the conversation?
Yeah, sure
Thank you
is.
so much for all your wonderful inspirational work
Yeah.
and planning all together everything in a short time. Thank you.
Thank you.